Your Honor, I would like to dismiss the 1-year recess, I guess. No, it's been a year. Like 6 months, right? Anyway, we are back with the Great Ace Attorney 2 because I missed my husband. I missed my Hurlock. And I absolutely remember 100% what this case was totally about. For sure. It's all my fault. Ray.
Membami-san, you stand accused here. Outbursts like this will not be tolerated.
But it was me. I was the one who noticed that the poison we were developing had been stolen that day.
What?
So you knew. I'd been placed in charge of overseeing the project. It was the day that the professor and Soseki-san were interviewed together for the newspaper. That's when I noticed that some of the poison was missing. Just a tiny amount it was.
Why didn't you let me know immediately?
I was scared. The whole project was supposed to be confidential, but some of the toxin had somehow been taken. So I decided I'd try to get it back before anyone else found out. Because I had a very good idea who the thief was.
The thief?
You don't mean... Yes, of course. It was that dainty Englishwoman.
Miss Giselle Brett. The Swan Lady, if I can recall.
That's why I decided to join the little group of people going to the seaside. Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me, as if she knew she was untouchable. I know it was you who stole the poison. Well now, whatever do you mean? And then, she suddenly got to her feet, before falling to her knees in front of me and then collapsing on the floor. That's when I saw the knife in her back. I couldn't understand what had just happened. And then, a moment later, I was seized with fear. The pupils of her eyes they'd shrunk into tiny pinpoints.
I don't believe it. In other words, you realize that the victim was suffering the effects of the stolen poison. Is it? I'm sorry. Hi. What? Do we know how the poison works? Okay. Darn it.
My mind started racing. I hadn't seen anything past Miss Brett's lips whilst I'd been with her, which left only one possible way for the poison to have entered her body. On the blade of the knife in her back.
And that train of thought was what spurred you to withdraw the blade.
Yes. If the amount that had entered her bloodstream was small enough, she might still have a chance. That's what I hoped. Really, I'm so sorry for staying silent all this time.
Sorry.
I stayed silent for 6 whole months.
Your attempt to hide the truth of what happened is not something that can be overlooked. However, I have duly noted the courage with which you confess in the end. Sorry.
Thank you, Your Excellency. It's barely perceptible, but I do think the balance has shifted a little here in this courtroom now.
Objection!
Your Excellency, do not be deceived. The victim just collapsed before your eyes, you say. Well, Membami-san, if that's the case, perhaps you could explain how Miss Brett came to be stabbed.
Well,
You have no answer because the simple truth.
is that you stabbed the victim motivated by revenge.
Objection!
But you have no conclusive evidence to prove that assertion, do you?
Well, I have evidence, and it is very much conclusive.
What's the prosecution counsel up to? It was brief, but he hesitated for a moment there. I'm almost sure of it.
You will produce the aforementioned evidence at once, Professor Ouchie. Not professor, prosecutor.
Perhaps some praise is due, young yokel students. Huh?
Well, I had imagined there would be no need for me to submit this evidence.
But you've brought this on yourself.
How dare you do your job?
Yeah, that could be out or in, obviously. What the? Although some outfit's really cute. Could a more damning shot exist? The cruelty in the air on that beach is almost palpable.
Well, this evidence, more than any other, reveals the true extent of the accused's murderous nature. For it shows the precise moment that Minbami-san plunged her dagger into the victim's back.
No! That's not true! No! I don't believe it.
Blah!
We checked the eyes, right? Sounds about right.
Order, order, order. Counsel for the defense. Was it you who's responsible for that shrill scream that just pierced my courtroom?
Perhaps his voice is yet to break. These yokels are slow of mind and slow to mature.
I did not scream like a girl. I'll show you who's slow to mature, you old man.
Careful now. Susato is starting to show her face here. It is often said that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and here we have ample proof. The court will accept this extremely cogent photographic print as evidence.
Incriminating photo! I can't believe he's had a photograph like this up his sleeve the entire time. It's such a stark image. I'm generally lost for words. Oh, wait a minute. I don't understand. How did you... I mean, who on earth even took that photograph? Hey.
Lots of no importance here. Stop trying to divert attention.
Oh.
Objection!
No, it's important. That's an absurd thing to say. It's crucially important. Whoever took this photograph print was a witness to Miss Brett's death. The court must be allowed to hear this person's testimony.
Blah.
I will uphold the defense's demand. The prosecution will reveal the identity of the person responsible for taking this photograph at once.
Well, I'm afraid I can't do that.
Huh? Pardon?
Well, you see, this print arrived at the Imperial Police Bureau headquarters by express post yesterday. There was nothing to indicate the sender's name or address. The provenance of the print is unknown.
Goodness, and you just accepted it into court? Without following up on this?
Are we to understand then, counsel, that in full knowledge of the fact that this photograph has the murkiest of origins, you nevertheless believe it fit for the submission as evidence in the Supreme Court?
When you first produced that print before, I noticed that you hesitated a bit for a brief moment. Because you knew that it wasn't completely reliable evidence, didn't you?
Silence, you yokel student and blabbering professor. What matters is the blatant truth that this print so eloquently expresses.
But the defendant has already admitted to pulling the blade from the wound. Clearly, this isn't the moment that the knife was plunged into the victim's back, but...
One moment it was withdrawn. Don't waste this court's time with your ramblings.
Indeed. Without knowledge of who produced this print, you have no means of verifying this claim. And the scene it captures is without doubt the most compelling evidence presented to the courts. If the defense is unable to shed any further light on the matter, I believe the conclusion is clear.
Oh no.
Susato, this is the time for you to fight. If what you've established so far is true, then there can be no doubt. The photographer is the murderer. This photograph shows the moment that Ray withdrew the blade from the victim. Yeah, we just need to prove that somehow.
You'll have plenty of time to rue your defeat on the slow train back to the provinces. And to rue the day you came up against Takasuchi Aochi in the court of law.
If I can't determine who took this photograph, then the trial is going to come to an end. There must be a clue somewhere. There must be a way of working out who took it. Well, Counsel? Your Excellency? The burning question is who took that photograph, and the truth is, I have the answer. This isn't about whether I can or can't come up with the answer now. I simply have to. The identity of the person who took this dramatic photograph print is, I assure you, something the defense can and will reveal.
What? No, you can't possibly.
But,
Well, as you so boldly claim that you can, please do enlighten us.
unfortunately, I'm unable to present a name.
How utterly underwhelming. Did you really believe you could?
However, I'm able to present evidence. The defense is a piece of evidence that reveals the important details about the photographer's identity. Do we? Hold on. What? Man, we're being, a little, Okay, wait, we have two photographs, right? Okay. We have that pen. I don't know, I don't remember what we did already. Is she holding the pen here? No, right? No. Maybe. I can't tell. Right, your knee was in the way. Is it the pen? Have we at all, like... Okay, yeah, it says we've checked everything already here. So we know... Yeah.
Well?
We have like 5 things of evidence. We'll be fine. Very well then, counsel. Present your proof to the courts. Ah, darn it. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, we get 2 tries also? Is it the initials? Is it this person?
Take that!
The piece of evidence in question is this. I say with squiggly eyes. No, cancel. You are very wrong. You're super wrong. Dot 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 dot. Yeah. Alright. I'm sorry, Ray. I got you murdered. I'm a little rusty.
Take that!
What? Sure, okay. I was definitely not clicking. Don't look at how many lives I have left. What is that? The newspaper again? Ingun returnees tell all. It's not the headline that's relevant here, Your Excellency. It's the photograph. Oh. If you look at it closely, you'll notice that there's some white lines on the right-hand side. Yeah, I didn't. Oh, yes, indeed. They had already caught my eye as it happens.
And what of it? A shadow of some kind? Presumably from the branches of a tree or the like.
There are no trees growing inside my lab at the university, I can assure you.
Now, if you look closely at this photograph. Yeah, look, my brain read tree too.
Good gracious!
Yes, exactly the same pattern of lines present on this photograph as well.
Well,
that tells us that it's the same camera. You got cracked in the same spot.
huh. Yes, it's a shadow of some kind, definitely. From the branches of a tree.
There wouldn't be any trees growing inside a hut at the beach council.
What's quite remarkable about it is that the two patterns are absolutely identical. How could such an extraordinary similarity have transpired?
The curious matching pattern that appears on both photographic prints is a result of a camera defect. Obviously, it must be due to a problem with the camera used to take the photographs.
With the photographic device?
Yes, we can confidently say that the camera's lens must be scratched, and that the scratched lens caused unwanted lines to appear on every print taken with the device.
In short, the two photographs under consideration here were taken with the same camera.
Yeah, but there must be hundreds of such camera devices here in the capital. This would be utterly impossible to identify the owner of this particular one.
Objection!
I think you're forgetting, Prosecutor Ouchie, that one of the photographs featured in a newspaper article.
Well, a newspaper?
That's right. The author of that article is the mystery witness to this crime.
Whoa!
What? Wait, who just shouted that? Huh? Oh, Saseki.
I see why you were called a raucous England returnee.
What are you yelling about? You've already testified.
It's Minimeno, I tell you! Minimemo! Mo!
Soseki-san? What was that? Did you say Minimemo?
Ever since I returned to Japan, a reporter from Shoyu News has been hounding me, following my every move. A reporter by the name of Reiten Minimemo. Yes, hounding me from the dawn till dusk.
Oh, now that he mentions it. Did I comment on this? Did I see this? At all? Could the same reporter be?
The camera to the left of him, a notebook to the right. There I am, stuck in the middle with Reiten Minimemo. So you're saying this picture was taken by Minimemo, yes! My lord, your excellency, Esquire. Officer, find this newspaper reporter at once, and bring him to my courtroom. We will adjourn for a short recess in the meantime.
Oh, yes, Your Excellency.
As you say, Your Excellency.
And one more thing. I want this knife, the murder weapon, examined for traces of poison. You will solicit the assistance of the Imperial University's Medical Department for the task. Understood?
Minimemo! I'm so sorry, Susato. I should have told you about the toxin. Ray.
You have a strong sense of responsibility, I know. That's why you decided to shoulder the burden alone.
No, that's not it at all. I was scared of my failure coming to light, that's all. So I hoped to retrieve the substance from the Englishwoman before anyone found out. Before the trial started, do you remember what you said, Susato? That you had no doubt in your mind about my innocence, that you'd stand by me to the last. I remember. And yet I didn't deserve your trust in me. I hid important details from you, Susato. I completely betrayed your faith in me. Hit me, Susato, I deserve it! No, in fact, throw me to the floor! No, that's too good for me as well. Drag me through the city streets!
No. I'm no better, you know?
Oh? Even though in my heart, I knew that you'd pull the knife blade from Miss Brett's back, there was just a brief moment when, in my mind, I doubted you. Susato! I'm so sorry. After I stood here and promised you that I'd stand by you and always be by your side, I betrayed your faith in me too. By having an intrusive thought, which is not really a betrayal, just heads up. And as such, I failed you as a lawyer. Oh, no, no, no.
I think the situation has taught both of you a valuable lesson. Placing your unbridled faith in another is no easy task.
Yes, Father. The fact has certainly struck home. Which is why I can see more clearly now, so... Ray. Yes? Can you find it in your heart to forgive me? Oh, Susato! You know you'll always be a gallant, dashing lawyer in my eyes now.
Oh, Ray? I don't remember, she's not related to us, right? Like, this is cute, right?
I was so scared, you know, when it happened. I didn't know what was going on. The Englishwoman was sitting on the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. I know it was you, the slow poison. And then, a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. Before collapsing to the floor in front of me, with a knife in her back. It all happened right before my eyes.
And you're the only people in the hut at the time.
That's right. Just Miss Brett and myself. There was no one else. So I just don't understand how she could possibly have been stabbed like that.
A great mystery indeed.
I still can't believe it happened. That's why I couldn't just bring myself to speak up. It'll be alright. However it happened, and whatever really went on by the sea that day, I promise you that I'm going to prove everything you saw was true.
Spoken like a true Mikotaba. Now, I think we should discuss what's coming up in the trial, don't you? We don't have much time. We must make sure we have our facts in order.
Yes. I expect the poison is going to come under close scrutiny in the upcoming proceedings. The police should hopefully have identified it in the blade by now. The trouble is, it's a completely new lab-synthesized blend of alkaloids. The police won't have any way of testing for it.
Oh, I see.
Could they have this pen? This handy-dandy pen?
Yes. Without this chemical reagent, it's impossible to detect the toxin.
Chemical reagent?
I sent a colleague of mine off with some earlier to deliver to the police headquarters. I think perhaps you should have some as well, though, just in case.
Thank you. Thanks, Papa.
What's the matter, Susato? You're suddenly very quiet.
It's this newspaper article. Exclusive deadly poison stolen from UA Medical Research Laboratory. I'm wondering how the information got out, given that it was a government secret. It was all the Englishwoman's doing.
Huh?
It was when the professor and Saseki-san were being interviewed at the lab. That so-called English lady swanned in, and without any compunction said to Professor Mikotaba,
Well, Professor, surely your guests would love to hear about your work on that substance there. It put me in a very awkward position, to be frank. But Saseki-san's curiosity had been piqued, so I had little choice but to give him a cursory introduction.
So then Saseki-san knew about the poison.
Yes, and it's highly likely that the reporter who was writing up the story about us would have caught a glimpse of the toxin as well.
This Menamemo-san. By the way, did that reporter join you all when you went to the beach? Oh, no. I don't remember the reporter being there.
Indeed, he shouldn't have been. I very much doubt anyone would have wanted him there.
Oh?
A known criminal had been given permission by the authorities to bathe by the seaside. Saseki-san pointed out that inviting a reporter might be problematic, so the man was sent back to his office. And he said he went, like a liar. Yet he obviously didn't go back. He secretly followed the party to the beach and took this very candid photograph. And then presumably he posted it anonymously to the police.
Ah!
Yes, that must be what happened. Counsel, we've just heard that the new witness is now ready to testify. The trial is about to resume. Please proceed to the courtroom at once. It's time to steel ourselves once again, then. Defense attorney? Ryotaro Naruhodo?
Yeah, sure, that's me. And Ray has put her faith in me now, and told me everything. So I can't just let her down. I have to prove that what she's telling the court is true. I have to prove what really happened that day.
I hereby call this court to order as we reconvene to continue the trial of Rei Membami. Prosecutor Ouchi, have you summoned the new witness?
Before I address the question, Your Excellency, I have some very important news to share.
Oh?
What news? And why is it so happy about it?
During the recess, with the collaboration of Professor Mikotaba's lab at the Yume University, the police re-examined the knife that was used to end Miss Giselle Brett's life.
Excellent. I admire your rapid handling of the matter. Not that I trust you one bit, but sure.
Oh, too kind, Your Excellency, too kind. I was merely carrying out your instructions, of course.
I had the region delivered to the police headquarters by rickshaw, so it would be there in good time.
But judging by the mad swagger,
I fear we may need to brace ourselves for the inevitable.
And counsel, what were the results?
This dagger, which was so cruelly used in the life of the victim, has no trace of poison anywhere alongside the blade.
Huh? You sure about that?
Well, I would stake the reputation of the police on it.
Armed with the regent, the test is extremely simple. They couldn't have made a mistake.
I need to combine these two things, right? In short, the accused feeble excuse earlier. Yeah, no, hold on. One moment, please. Let's examine this thing a little bit.
Nothing's out.
Does this handle come out? Is this blood really poison?
Ah, yes, this must be the victim's blood.
Oh dear.
Blood is never a pretty sight, is it?
I'm having the fight to urge and run it under a hot tap and get it clean.
You've always been fastidious about cleanliness, haven't you?
I think this is something else, Father.
Alright, nothing else weird? Okay, if you say so. I guess I can't really. What's this?
The label appears to be written in a foreign language that I don't know.
It's German, so your knowledge of English is going to be of little help here, I'm afraid.
Couldn't you have just written medicine on it in Japanese? Then we'd all be able to read it.
German is the international language in medicine, my dear. Oh, I didn't know that. But yes, I can certainly see the merit of labeling the bottle in Japanese. Though I'm not sure medicine would be entirely appropriate.
Alright, okay.
It has been utterly destroyed. Now, the prosecution is ready to call the new witness.
Ah, the newspaper reporter who managed to capture a photograph of the crucial moment. Very well, officer. Bring in the witness.
No trace of poison on the knife. But if that's really the case, how could the toxin have entered the victim's body? I don't know, under her swan, maybe. You look like somebody, and I don't know who.
Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court.
Written Minamono of the Shoyu News. I'm what people like you call a journo.
What's a journo, Father? Do you know?
Simply a contraction of journalist. I'm there where the news breaks, putting pen to paper to catch those scoops, so they're in print the next morning. They don't call me the hero of the Herald for nothing. The nice guy of news.
Oh, so, it was you who took this photograph, was it?
Well, well, what have we here?
I'm sorry?
Oh, brace yourselves, people. Minamono senses a scoop in the offing. Female student up to foul play defended by curiously handsome young lawyer in Supreme Court. The readers will lock this up. We'll set it above the fold at 72 print, 72 point, and a 5-link format in the morning edition.
Huh?
Right then. Let's start with your name.
Oh, it's Ryotaro Naruhodo. I mean,
Ryotaro Naruhodo.
yeah.
Next, what made you want to become a lawyer?
Well, I wanted to reform the country's legal system, I suppose.
Ryotaro has suddenly become very ambitious, I see.
I just borrowed Kazuma-sama's dream for a while.
Oh, by the way, my name is Takasuchi Ouchi. That's Takasuchi Ouchi. The so-called Dark Horse of the Supreme Court. My objections strike fear into the defense lawyer's heart.
Why is it looking a pencil? It's not a pen.
No, the readers won't buy that.
What?
Witness?
Yes.
What this court demands to know is whether or not you are responsible for taking the picture. What this court demands to know is whether or not you were responsible for taking of this picture. It was delivered anonymously to the Imperial Police Bureau only yesterday.
Yeah?
I wouldn't be a journal if I didn't click quick when presented a scoop like that, now would I? Sometimes stories call out to me. Sometimes I have to chase them down, but either way, you gotta be fast. Fast legs to run with and a fast hand to write with. It's no good if you don't note it down, I always say. That's what I call my mini-memoism.
Mjolnir?
Ah yes, I remember your face. We met that day when you were interviewing yourself at Ansoseki-san. Yes, right. That was me. Memo again. But you were supposed to be going back to the Shoyu News offices after our meeting. But the scoop is, I didn't. Because that Englishwoman's words had piqued my journalistic interest.
Miss Brett's words?
A criminal, left to do as she pleases just because she happens to be a British citizen? It's horse dung. This country's judiciary. This country's judiciary is rotten to the core, he said to the judge. The Supreme Court's rulings aren't worth the paper they're written on. The police are just imperial pawns. I like them.
Stay your tongue, young man. These are complex political issues at play.
Well, anyway, I quickly jotted down these words she said in my my memo pad. Are you ready? I'll read it out. Alright, here it goes. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. A serious criminal going on some junket? The people need to know about this. That's why I decided to sneak out after them. To get the woman's story so I could hammer her in the press. Do you mean to say that you did indeed witness it firsthand? The grim scene portrayed in this photograph. Oh yeah, I saw it with my very own journal eyes. From the start to finish, through the viewfinder of my trusty camera.
Oh, viewfinder again, huh?
Thank you, Menememo-san. You will now give a formal testimony before the court. You will state exactly what it is that you witnessed of the events surrounding Miss Brett's death.
Testimony!
The beach hut was made of shoddy old reed screens, so there were plenty of gaps I could see through. The Englishwoman was sitting on the stool when the student girl came in and started arguing with her. Seconds later, the girl pulled out a knife, throwing the Englishwoman to the floor as she stabbed her in the back. My smoldering general spirit burst into flames. Quick as a flash, I whipped up my camera and ready to click. I pulled apart the rough weave of one of the screens and poked the lens for the perfect shot.
Yeah, no, that sounds so wrong on every level there.
Reed screens, you say? Right. You can see them clearly enough in that great shot I snapped. The hut walls were just screens made of coarsely woven reeds. Yes, it allows the breeze to pass through and bring some relief from the summer heat. And it was a breeze for me to poke my camera through and see the whole thing hotting up. Ignoring for the time being the appalling invasion of privacy involved, did you witness everything that happened from the moment the defendant entered the hut? Oh yeah, I saw it. I saw the whole thing from start to finish. And you say that you took the photograph through a gap in one of the screens. Luckily for me, they were pretty shoddily woven. I pulled the reeds apart and thrust the lens of my camera through the gap. Would I get away with it, or would I be seen? It was a gamble of a lifetime. The tenacity of purpose that's considered admirable in a journalist, I suppose. Run a risk one day, run a scoop the next. That's minimum in a nutshell. At last, it would appear we have a genuine witness to this wicked crime. The evidence and testimony are extremely compelling. I believe we may be close to a verdict.
Huh? Oh, wonderful news, Your Excellency. Oh, wonderful indeed.
Nevertheless, it cannot be denied that this testimony begs one very large question.
Oh, what question?
Exclusive news. A startling photograph. Why didn't he give his name? Why do anonymously? All the makings of an exceptional story for the reporter. Why then was the story never published? Oh, that's right. It seems that those things are going to snap. It seems clear to me that there are circumstances at play here that are yet to be understood.
More pathetic excuses.
Very well then, counsel. Proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, Your Excellency. There's more to this reporter than what meets the eye. He's keeping something about this case very close to his chest. Alright, let's examine him. We still got time. We got plenty of time. Alright. Beach hut was made of shoddily screens. Plenty of gaps. Yeah, we're gonna press every single thing you say, sir. What made you want to see what was happening inside the beach hut in the first place? I call it journal instinct. Can you think of a better reason? Oh, I don't know. Perhaps because
as well as being a proven criminal. The person inside was a young woman.
Oh, I see where you're going with this. Brace yourselves, people! He's painting the journal as a voyeur.
It's hardly slander, sir. You had a camera and you were taking pictures about the woman's knowledge.
Nope, you got it all wrong, little student boy.
Sorry?
To my mind, all those inside the hut was a scoop. Nothing more, nothing less. Scoops know no gender. Man, woman, or envy, it's all news. That's not even minimalism, it's basic journalism.
If only the courtroom was indiscriminate.
Right, so if that's all buttoned up, can we move on? Tell the court, thou witness, what sight befell your eyes. When I pulled back the reins, I could see it all as clear as day.
Where's my... There we go.
Things from sitting on the stools.
That sounds right. I'm from person anyway. So you actually saw Membami-san entering the hut?
Yep. And she was raging like my journal spirit.
And the argument you mentioned, what was that about exactly?
You stole it. I didn't steal it. That kind of thing.
Talking about the poison, I suppose.
The student girl walked right up to the Englishwoman and really started laying into her. Well, I mean, if she laid into her anymore, there would have been eggs.
Sure.
That man should have been an author. His descriptive talents are wasted on journalism. But the student's ranting fell on deaf ears, like a Japanese person listening to an English for the first time.
He really had to work on his similes first, though, to be honest.
Well, anyway, the point is, that woman in the dock was mighty angry.
Well, her temper finally got the better of her, it seems. Oh, dear me.
Which was the climactic moment that I caught on film. Alright, pull the knife, throw the Englishwoman to the floor, and stab her in the back.
Except she would have to... No.
Hold it!
She was in front of her. Why'd you run behind her? Do you swear to this court that you actually saw the precise moment that the stabbing took place?
Huh, the precise moment? I didn't see just that. I saw the whole hellish scene play out. Start to finish.
All I have here is a simple plan of the beach hut. Perhaps you could use it to explain to the court exactly what you witnessed.
Doodle, sir. Right you are. It's all here in my memo pad. When I first peered into the hut, I'm sure the Englishwoman was on this stool at the back of the hut here.
Yes, the accused's own testimony can't confirm that. She just sat at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly, is what I have noted down.
It's my turn to testify now. Do not interrupt me. And the next moment, when I was watching, the evil student girl entered the hut. After a while, the pair of them end up in the middle of the hut, arguing furiously. The Englishman went for the student, but the girl dodged out of the way. And in a flash, plunged the knife into her adversary's back as the two passed each other. Which you describe as a grim crime scene indeed. Never sugarcoat the truth. That's what Minna says. Alright, that feels wrong.
By the way, whilst you were watching that terrible scene unfold before your eyes through the gap in the screen, did it not occur to you to try to prevent the tragedy rather than capture it on film?
Journalists have to be observers. We can't get involved. That is our raison d'etre.
So you didn't converse with Miss Brett at all?
Obviously not. An observer always remains on the outside looking in.
And that's something to be proud of, is it?
Your Excellency, if I may. Yes, Professor? I think the witness' last expertly phrased statement should perhaps be added to his formal testimony.
Father, what are you?
I will grant the defense's request. Minna minna minna. You will supplement your formal testimony with the aforementioned statements. Well then, nihilism is the foundation of minna minna minna, and I'll gladly prove that my words aren't meaningless. I never once set foot in the hut nor spoke with the Englishman. I was there only as an observer. Alright, so what can we present as evidence for that? Okay, hold on. Examine this. Maybe it's for later. Wait. Right a minute. Present.
Objection!
Until now, I had a firm belief that the newspapers are the business of uncovering and publishing the truth. You're spot on there. The press doesn't lie, which is why I'm proud to wear the emblem of Show You News on my arm. In a way, that's more phenomena. Sadly, though, it seems that the journalists who write for those papers don't always share the same passion for the truth. Well, what are you suggesting with these recriminatory words, Counsel? Do you recognize this fountain pen? This pen was found at the scene of Miss Brett's death. In fact, the murdered victim was gripping it in her hand as she died. What are you? If you look to the barrel of the pen, you'll notice that its owner's initials are engraved there.
Oh, yes.
Thank you for bringing that up, Counsel. The initials of the accused, Ray Membami. Is it a coincidence, I wonder, that your initials are also RM?
No.
Written Minimemo, RM. That's horse dung. Can't you see? One of the central tenets of Minimina is being a pencil user. And yet, as the court will clearly be able to see on your right hand, there's a very obvious blue ink stain. It would appear that you must have rather carelessly left it somewhere recently. Your favorite fountain pen, that is. Horsey horse dung. Is it not the case that before she died, you met with Giselle Brett in that beach hut?
Objection!
Why should we listen to this absurd nonsense? It's nothing but another excuse.
Exactly. Show You News will stand behind me all the way. I deny everything. There must be as many people in initials RM as there are stars in the night sky. The defense has neither the time nor the inclination to count every star in the sky. And there's no need anyway, because this pen has more to tell. Yes, there's another clue. A clue that undeniably proves who its owner really is. In that case, Counsel, please tell the player of this game what clue that is. Of course, Your Excellency. The clueless fountain pen that clearly reveals its owner's identity is... What? What? Girly. Oh, right here. Some sort of emblem, look. But it isn't the Yume University one. It must belong to Show You News, I guess. It doesn't belong to Ray. It's...
Got it!
As well as the initials, there's also an emblem on this fountain pen. An emblem that you will of course recognize. Goodness me. It's the emblem to Show You News. In other words, the owner of this pen is the employee of Show You News, whose initials are RM. Suddenly, the stars in the night sky don't seem so numerous, do they? Well, how do you respond? No!
You got him.
Order, order. Explain yourself, witness. This is how the mighty Supreme Court works, is it? Using coercive tactics to have well-meaning citizens reveal harmless secrets.
Yeah, it's all been honest tactics, sir.
Alright then. Fine. I won't try to hide it anymore. Yeah. Not long before that grim tragedy unfolded, I, a shady news reporter on behalf of the public, conducted an interview with the Englishwoman.
An interview?
You'll never mention this before.
When exactly was this?
As I said, it was before that evil little student girl showed her face in the hut. I couldn't have lasted more than 2 or 3 minutes, that's all. It was just a brief exchange. But it came to nothing. As we say, the people who don't pay their dues for unworthy news. However insignificant you deem it to be, this court cannot overlook the meeting between yourself and the victim. You will testify now under oath about the precise nature of this meeting and what transpired. You know, you keep saying that, but everyone keeps lying. So, like, we need to enforce this better. Got it. Yeah, alright, but... on one condition.
Condition?
In all good conscience, I couldn't speak out alone about this. You need to call back the earlier witness, Soseki Natsume-san.
Soseki-san?
Oh yeah. According to my notes here, that man has a secret of his own. Embrace yourselves, because it's not a harmless one. Oh, it's big.
What?
States that one man's secret is every other man's front page story. Very well. I will grant the witness request in this instance. Officer, summon the earlier witness back to stand.
Soseki-san hiding something?
Witness testimony. I asked the Englishwoman for an interview, but she declined, so I left the hut without making a fuss. Then, watching secretly from outside, I saw the woman being stabbed and the other witnesses come running. The detective realized that the victim still had a pulse, so he ran off to fetch help. That's when this writer-man here asked the woman a very significant question. But he didn't say anything about that in his testimony, which is why Minna demands I reveal it now.
You mean to say the victim?
The victim regained consciousness?
Well, when she did, you decided to ask her a question?
That's, true, yes. He did, and that's not all. The woman gave him a very definite answer. The answer that incriminates the accused. I'm sorry, we had insta-death, didn't we? Okay, long knife blade. Oh no, she had minutes, okay. Okay, extreme meiosis, pupil constriction was observed in the victim's both eyes. Okay. 2 p.m. So I guess she had a couple minutes. Okay, fine, plausible.
Oh, this is preposterous. Why am I only hearing about this now? Why didn't you mention this before, you yokel hack?
It wasn't even a conversation. Yes, I did pose the withering English rose a question. I don't deny it. But she can no longer speak. She was barely conscious, even. Counsel for the defense, I expect a thorough cross-examination to be conducted here. The court must and will know the truth.
Yeah, absolutely, Your Excellency. The report is claiming that Miss Brett implicated Ray somehow. What on earth could have happened in that hut?
Alright, so let's examine this and then we're gonna call it for the day. Yeah, I doubt that.
Hold it!
You You asked her for an interview, you say? Well, of course I did. I wanted to ask her about the incident she was involved in at the end of the last year. About the case in which Dr. John H. Wilson lost his life. That's not the way I phrased it. Minute calls for straight talking. Why did you murder Dr. Wilson, is how I put it to her. Yeah, that sort of talking is as straight as a ruler. Ask every question if you're asking for a menu in a restaurant, I say. It's the best way. The better of the paper taught me that. And how did Miss Brett answer? With one simple phrase. Fuck off. Mystery is a woman's charm. Whoa, that told me. So I waltzed right out of there. Really? Something about that doesn't quite fit together. Leave every room as you're waltzing in a dance hall, I say is the best way. The better of the paper taught me that. Then saw the woman. Easy.
Hold it!
That was very persistent of you, considering that Miss Brett had just turned you away. Persistence wins the prize. Any minute, will tell you that. Let them think you've left, and then just when they lower their guard, that's when you swoop in for the scoop. Well, the fruits of your labor are all too apparent in this telling photograph. Well, I'm sure the young yokel student would rather not be reminded of this damning evidence. Actually, it's thanks to that photograph that we managed to identify this witness. And they found me. I'll tell you what, whatever you want to know, I got nothing to hide. Says the person who was lying earlier. Sure. Please, do go ahead, witness. The court is eager to hear what you have to say. Try and stop me. There's a story to tell here, and I'm going to tell it.
Hold it!
And Saseki-san remained behind in the hut? That's right, yep. Our author friend here was a blabbering wreck, shaking all over, from his head to his toes, mustache twitching, eyes bulging. What do you expect? You don't know the terrifying troubles that taunted me while I was traveling abroad. Back, behind, baleful bars. They'll be coming for me, surely. That's all I could think. I felt as though I was gasping for air, drowning in a sea of cold sweat. Poor Saseki-san. His experiences in London have scarred him deeply. As the world seemed to close in around me, I quietly recited a prayer to Amida Buddha. Eternal emptiness, empty eternity. The end is coming for me, surely. No sutras are to resound in my courtroom, please. And now we come to the crucial. And now we come to the crucial part, and that's when it happened. That's when this writer man here asked the woman a very significant question.
Hold it!
And what question? What exactly did he say? Well, now you should hear that from the horse's mouth, I think. Don't you, Mr. Writer Man?
Yeah. Well, with it, you yokel hack. What did you say to her? What did you say to the dying Englishwoman?
Well, in truth, I've been catching crabs at the water's edge and building castles in the sand, you see. Well, the seaside is a place to be at leisure, I suppose, even for a grown man. But then, all of a sudden, from that little beach hut, a young girl's panic-stricken cries for help pierced the air. Ray! I ran to the beach to see what was happening, to find the defendant leaning over the collapsed victim. As soon as Inspector Hosonaga saw Miss Brett on the ground, he sprinted off to get help. And then, just a moment later, I heard a faint moan, a moan from the dead Englishwoman. I nearly jumped out of my skin! But when did you ask her, Saseki-san? Not when, what? I asked her, who did this to you? Don't protract this any longer. How did the woman respond? She didn't. She said nothing in response. But... When in the stand, you will answer the questions asked of you unambiguously. Now, without evasion or that, I demand that you amend your testimony.
Yes, I will.
I asked her who did this to you. but she never replied.
Hold it!
Miss Brett pointed a finger at the defendant? Sasaki-san, is that really true? It's not easy to stand here and say this, but when we first entered the beach hut, the Englishwoman was sprawled on the floor before us, the student girl standing on the far side of her. When I asked who did this to you, the Englishwoman summoned her one less ounce of strength to point a trembling finger at the back of the hut, which was, it can't be denied, in the direction of the student girl who stands accused today. But also the reeds. No, Sasaki-san, why on earth did you neglect to mention this in your original testimony? But fiddlesticks, I say! This is not a British court of law. You will respond in Japanese. Yeah, of course. The Englishwoman did point her finger towards the back of the hut, but I was trembling, and she was trembling. Everything was a blur. And thinking about it, I feel as though perhaps she was pointing at a slightly different direction. Actually, no, not slightly, in a very different direction to where the student girl was standing. To somewhere in the back of the hut where nobody was standing at all. You mean that your memory of events and the direction in which the victim was pointing are both unclear? Yes, that's it, unclear. I'm very, very unclear.
Objection!
Your Excellency, surely this proves the matter beyond all reasonable doubt. Yes, the woman may have barely been conscious, and yes, perhaps her finger wavered slightly. But there can be no doubt that this was an attempt by the victim to confirm the identity of her assailant. Why? Because as the court can see, there was no one other than the accused in the direction the victim was pointing. Objection? We know that the cameraman was there. It is now abundantly clear that no one besides the accused could have possibly committed this crime. I am inclined to agree. In the absence of any credible argument to the contrary, I believe you can now conclude this trial. Nuh-uh! The headline's writing itself. Dashing lawyer's hopes dash. 92 point across the whole page. We'll do an extra edition. This is a serious blow, Susato. Unless you're able to identify the true culprit and substantiate our claim with evidence, the judge will give his ruling and the trial will be over. But that's impossible, Father! We don't even know how the crime was committed yet. Impossible though the task may seem. We have no choice. We must think back over everything we've learned so far. Summarize all those details, I'm confident we'll find the clue we need. Okay, Ray gave us her account of how the events unfolded in the defense antechamber before the trial resumed. She told us what happened at the precise moment Miss Brett was killed. Sitting in the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. And a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. Before collapsing on the floor in front of me, with a knife in her hand, in her back. How could Miss Brett have been stabbed in the back, in a beach hut that was empty for herself and Ray? Come on, I was like, come on, Susato, you got this, you got this. The reeds bend easily for the camera. It could easily bend for a knife. Somewhere amid all the information you've gathered so far, there must be an answer to that question. Well, I take it the defense has nothing further to add. So the gallant yokel student's luck finally runs out. Well, I can't say I'm not surprised. In that case, I'm ready to deliver my final verdict on this matter. This is a crucial turning point now. If I can't establish what really happened, it's over. Where was the real culprit hiding? How did he or she stab the victim? I know!
Objection!
Your Excellency, I respectfully ask you to postpone your adjudication for the time being. Oh, to what end, counsel? The defense would like to present the court with an alternative theory. An alternative theory that can explain who the victim was actually trying to implicate with her dying gesture.
Objection!
An alternative theory? Huh, none exists.
Objection!
There was someone else present at the scene who could have committed this crime.
Well?
And the victim, Miss Brett, tried to reveal who it was to those around her at the time by mustering all her remaining strength and pointing a trembling finger in the killer's direction.
This is fiction, fantasy.
Very well. As you seem so sure of yourself, Counsel, I'm prepared to hear your alternative theory. So, young Ryotaro Naruhodo.
Yeah, sure, that's me, Your Excellency.
You'll present your latest theory to the court by means of this plan. At the moment the victim was stabbed, where exactly are you proposing the culprit was concealed?
Over here. It doesn't light up blue, right? Wait, can I not? Oh, present R. I'm hitting spacebar.
Take that!
Naruhodo-san would never give up, and I am Naruhodo now. The true culprit who fatally stabbed Miss Brett concealed his location here. Are you mad, Counsel? You're suggesting the culprit was outside the hut?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am.
Order. But student lawyer Naruhodo-san Esquire, this makes no sense at all. You just pointed to the exact spot where I was hiding to get my scoop snap. But I didn't see any suspicious individuals loitering about. I can swear to that.
Well, obviously, if the culprit had been outside the hut, there's no way that he or she could have stabbed the victim who was inside the hut.
Actually, Prosecutor Ouchie, there is a way.
Huh?
And, in point of that fact, the defense can prove the evidence strongly suggesting that it's precisely the way Miss Brett was killed.
You're bluffing, you yokel.
The defense's assertion is clearly too fantastical for the court to comprehend. You'll need to give us more guidance, Counsel. What piece of evidence corroborates your theory that the victim was stabbed from the outside of the hut? The photograph. Present.
Take that!
Wait, no! Wait, how's that the answer? You're saying the piece of evidence bears it. No, wait. I thought I was doing good there. If your theory is correct and the knife was thrust in Miss Brett's back from the outside the hut, there should be a visible trace somewhere. A trace? Yeah, on the hut itself. I must look through the court record again. Okay, hold on. Look for evidence on the hut? Thanks, Dad. Happy Father's Day. Examine. Okay, not this. How do I prove this? How is this not proof? Oh, right here. Okay, this picture.
Take that!
The original photographic print of the crime scene. Yes, it's clearly visible in this print. The trace of the fatal thrust that was delivered from the outside of the beach hut.
Objection!
Do you take us for fools? There is no hint of any such thing.
I'm not sure that everyone present would agree. Someone at least appears to have noticed what it is that I'm referring to. Counsel, once again I must call you to be explicit for the court. Where? Where's the stab? Where's the proof? It's this right here, sir.
Take that!
Look at that. Look closely, just here. In the screen at the back of the hut, you can see the effects of the blade having forced through the reeds.
No, I can't. Well, I can't see such a thing. I should wipe my glasses.
It's true that the hut in question had 4 walls you'd expect, however. By parting the reeds, a knife blade could easily penetrate them. This is extraordinary. Yes. The true culprit actually stabbed the victim from outside the beach hut. And of everyone present at the scene, there is only one person who could have done that. Only one person who was directly outside the hut when Miss Brett was killed. It could only have been you!
No.
Objection!
This preposterous idea leaves me almost speechless. Just look at the photograph again. The victim lies almost exactly in the center of the beach hut, does she not? Are we to assume as part of this farcical scenario that the assailant was a knife thrower?
Objection!
No, of course not.
Or not?
If you recall the testimony of the defendant about the events just before the victim's death. Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she has sat on the stool in the back of the hut smiling sweetly at me, as if she knew she was untouchable.
A stool?
Have another look at the photograph. The slit in the read screen would align perfectly with the back of the person who was sitting on that stool.
My word! So in fact, the victim was
Killed while sitting on that stool by a stab wound to her back delivered through the read screen.
Yeah.
Having been attacked, Miss Brett rose to her feet instinctively, but then, unable to speak, she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the hut. Before the defendant, Membami-san's appalled eyes. And that, Your Excellency, is the truth of what happened on the beach that day. By your silence, Minimimimime, I take it that you don't deny the charge.
Well, this is a little absurd.
I like doing Ouchie's voice. That will do. It would appear that we have a tacit admission of guilt from the witness. Accordingly, this court has successfully established the truth of this matter, which means that the defendant, Membami-san, is innocent of the crime. Oh, thank goodness. I finally made him cave.
I must say, I've never been more proud.
No, this can't be. The Yoshi clan can't. What of my growth? My growth of hope? It was all an apparition. Well, I can't accept this, I won't.
I see no reason for the continuance of this trial. I will therefore move to conclude proceedings, but... Yeah, I knew it was too soon.
Well, this is all very convenient. This is how the highest court in our mighty empire delivers justice, is it? Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedom to speak and branding them as criminals. Huh? You've established that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut, through the reed screen walls. And no one but you was in place at the time to have the hand on the hilt of the blade. It's a perfectly logical deduction. So your argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the Englishwoman, does it? Well, seems a little irrelevant now. Irrelevant? Where she was stabbed, how she was stabbed? It doesn't matter. I mean, whether she was stabbed at all makes no difference if you think about it. After all, this trial has already shown the whole thing hinges on something else. Her being poisoned. And actually, we're getting kind of long, so I'm going to cut it off here. And we'll go into the ending of this trial in the chapter 2 next time. Laters!